I've been fixing cars for 26 years, and almost every week somebody rolls into my shop and pays me for something a button on their own dashboard would have done for free. I'm Ted. 99% of drivers never find these 17 features, even though they already paid for every one. One of them can save you a 4-figure fuel system repair. Another one can get a child out of a locked trunk. But none of this needs tools, an app, or a subscription, just your car out in your driveway. Let's start at 17. Secret number 17. There is a real metal key hiding inside your key fob. Picture a concrete parking garage at 11 at night, you pressing that little rubber unlock button while the doors sit there and do nothing. The fob battery is dead. I have had customers pay a locksmith $200 to drive across town and pop that door in 40 seconds. Look at the side edge or the back face of your fob for a small latch, a slider, or a recessed button. Push it and a flat mechanical blade slides out of the housing. Now walk to your driver's door handle. On most newer vehicles, the keyhole hides under a plastic cap that pries off with the tip of that same blade, sometimes on the underside of the handle. The key was in your pocket the whole time you stood there panicking. Do this once at home in daylight so your fingers know where it lives. That saves you a locksmith. This next button saves you a tow truck. Secret number 16. The button showing a small car with squiggly lines under the tires is traction control, and knowing when to switch it off keeps you out of a ditch. When your tires break loose on wet asphalt or black ice, the system cuts engine power and taps the brake on whichever wheel is spinning. Almost always you want that. But if you are buried in 8 inches of snow at the end of your driveway, or your rear tires are sitting in soft campsite mud, that system strangles the engine at the exact moment you need wheel spin to dig down and climb onto something solid. I have winched trucks out of ditches because the driver did not know about a button 18 inches from their right hand. Press it once, rock gently between drive and reverse, and you are usually free inside a minute. Then press it again on the pavement. Do not drive home with it off. That button gets you unstuck. The next one gets your car to stop yelling at you. Secret number 15. You can turn off the lane departure nagging. Customers drive into my shop convinced something is broken because the car chimes and tugs the wheel every time they ease around a pothole on a county road. Nothing is broken. That system was tuned on interstate lane markings and has no idea what to do with 2-lane blacktop where the white paint wore off in the 90s. Look on the steering wheel spokes or the stalk behind it for a button showing a small car between 2 dotted lines. Hold it down for a second and the chime stops. Better, dig into the driver assistance section of the infotainment menu, where you will usually find sensitivity levels plus separate toggles for the audible alert and the steering nudge. Kill the sound, leave the visual warning on the cluster, and you keep the safety net without the panic attack. That buys you quiet. This next button buys you cleaner air. Secret number 14. The recirculation button is a filter for your lungs, the one showing a car outline with a curved arrow looping inside it. When it is off, your car inhales whatever is in front of the grill. Diesel exhaust off the truck in the merge lane, wildfire smoke, a freshly manured field, and the pollen that has you sneezing every April. Press it, and the intake flap closes to the outside world and circulates cabin air instead. There is a bonus that matters every July. Cooling air already sitting at 70 degrees is far less work than cooling 105-degree air off the asphalt, so the vents blow cold faster and your compressor stops running flat out. Less compressor strain means fewer of the expensive air conditioning repairs I write up every summer, and your cabin filter lasts longer because it is not choking on road grit. Flip it back to fresh air every so often, or the windshield fogs on you. That is your lungs handled. This next one is about where your airbag is pointed. Secret number 13. Reach under your steering column because there is a lever hiding under there that unlocks the whole steering wheel. Squeeze it and the wheel tilts up and down, and on most vehicles built in the last 15 years, it also telescopes toward your chest or away from it. I have watched grown adults drive the same sedan for 9 years with the wheel parked wherever the salesman left it on the lot. This matters more than comfort. When the wheel sits high and close, the airbag is aimed at your face and your throat instead of your chest, which is the part of you it was engineered to hit. Sit back until your shoulders touch the seat, set the wheel so your wrists rest on top of the rim, and check that you can read the full instrument cluster without ducking. Then lock the lever. 10 seconds and your neck stops aching 2 hours into a road trip. Now here is a piece of your car that is physically bigger than you think. Secret number 12. Your sun visor is longer than it looks. Everybody flips it down when the sun sits low over the highway. Almost nobody finds the second panel. Run your fingers along the bottom or outer edge and you will feel a lip. Pull it and a sliding extension comes out, covering that gap between the end of the visor and the door frame, which is exactly where the light sneaks through and hits you in the eye on the autumn drive home. There is a second move people miss. Unclip the visor from the inboard hook and swing the whole thing sideways onto the side window. Between the swing and the slide, you can block glare from almost any angle instead of squinting through half the drive. Glare quietly wears you out. Speaking of parts that are smarter than they look, check your hazard button. Secret number 11. Your hazard button has a second job. Everybody presses it once and walks away. Try holding it down for 3 to 5 seconds instead. On a good number of modern vehicles, that triggers an enhanced emergency mode with a faster, more urgent flash pattern, and that reads very differently to a driver coming up on your broken-down sedan at 70 miles an hour on a dark shoulder. Some European brands go further and light every exterior lamp at once, which makes you visible from most of a mile away in fog. Check your owner's manual for your model, because this one genuinely varies, and I would rather you know than guess on the side of the interstate. There is also the courtesy version. 2 quick taps after a driver lets you merge is understood as a thank you almost everywhere in the world. Now, let's do the one that embarrasses people at gas stations. Secret number 10. The little arrow on your fuel gauge tells you which side the filler cap is on. Look at the pump icon on your instrument cluster and you will see a small triangle pointing left or right. It points at the side of the car where the fuel door lives. That is the whole trick. It has been standard since the 1990s, and I still watch people in a rental crane their neck out the window at a busy pump, then pull out and swing around to the other row while 3 cars wait on them. If your vehicle predates the arrow, look at the pump graphic itself, because on a lot of those, the hose hangs off the same side as your filler door. Rentals, borrowed cars, the loaner from my shop. It works on all of them. And while you are standing at that pump, there is something on the inside of that fuel door I care about more than anything else on this list. Secret number 9. There is a hook inside your fuel door, and ignoring it is the most expensive habit in this video. Next time you fill up, unscrew the cap and look at the inside face of that little door. You will see a slot, a molded hook, or a notch cut into the plastic. That is a holster for the cap, and it is the only reason that shape exists. When you set the cap face down on a filthy pump or on your roof, or let it dangle against a rocker panel covered in winter road salt, the rubber sealing gasket picks up grit. Then you screw that grit straight into the mouth of your filler neck. Fine debris in a modern high-pressure fuel system means injectors that clog and spray a bad pattern, and eventually a fuel pump running starved and hot. I have written that estimate more times than I want to admit, and it runs well into 4 figures at any honest shop in the country. 2 seconds on a hook prevents all of it. That hook costs you nothing. Neither does the next one, which people use every August. Secret number 8. You can roll every window down without unlocking the door. Walk out to a car that has been baking in a supermarket lot in August and the cabin can sit north of 140 degrees, hot enough that the seatbelt buckle burns your fingers. On a lot of vehicles, you can vent all of that before you touch the handle. Stand within range and hold the unlock button on the fob for 3 to 5 seconds and the windows drop together. Some brands want 2 quick presses with the second one held. On certain models, it ships switched off and sits in the vehicle settings menu under Convenience. A few also do the reverse, closing windows and sunroof with a long press of the lock button, which is very useful the moment you spot rain starting from your kitchen window. Quick pause, because everything I have shown you so far is free and everything my customers pay me for is not. I put together a short guide called the Car Savings Manual. It is the list I use behind the counter. Which maintenance items you can genuinely stretch and which ones will destroy an engine if you delay them. The repair quotes that should send you out the door for a second opinion. And how to read a shop estimate line by line so nobody sells you a fluid flush your car does not need. It is free, and it is linked in the description below. Grab it before your next service appointment, not after. Now back to your car, because number 7 is the button that gets you out of the middle of an intersection. Secret number 7. When the battery dies, your gear selector locks, and there is a hidden release. Automatic transmissions use an electronic shift lock that will not let the selector leave park without power. So when the battery quits halfway across a busy intersection, the car will not roll, and the tow driver cannot get it into neutral to winch it onto the flatbed. Look around the base of your selector for a small plastic cap, a slot, or a keyhole-sized opening, sometimes marked Shift or Unlock. On some vehicles, it hides under the leather shift boot. Pop the cover off with your key or a small flathead. Underneath is a lever or a button. Press and hold it. Move the selector into neutral, and the car rolls freely. The mechanism is purely mechanical, so it works with every electronic system in the vehicle stone dead. I have seen a driver block a lane for an hour over a button an inch from their hand. That saves you an hour of horns. This next one saves your eyes every winter night. Secret number 6. That little tab under your rearview mirror kills headlight glare instantly. Feel along the bottom edge of the mirror housing for a small, stubby lever. Flick it toward you, and the picture behind you goes dim and slightly greenish, and the high beams of the pickup riding your bumper stop burning holes in your retinas. The engineering is beautifully dumb. The mirror glass is a wedge with 2 reflective surfaces at slightly different angles. In day mode, you are looking at the bright silvered surface on the back of the glass. Flick the tab, and you are looking at the dim front surface instead, while the bright reflection gets thrown up into the headliner. You still see everything behind you clearly enough to change lanes. Flip it back in daylight, because the night setting makes daytime traffic much harder to judge, and I have seen that cause a merge that ended in my bay. Now here is a symbol people ignore right up until the bridge. Secret number 5. That snowflake on your dash is a warning, not decoration. It is wired to the outside air temperature sensor behind the front bumper cover, and it lights when the ambient temperature drops toward freezing. What it is telling you is that the pavement can now make ice, and that matters most where you cannot see it coming. Bridges and overpasses freeze before the road either side of them, because cold air moves underneath the deck as well as over the top. A shaded curve at the bottom of a valley does the same. Icy pavement is tied to roughly 150,000 crashes a year in the United States, and a big share of those happen in the band between 32 and 38 degrees, where drivers assume they are fine. Newer vehicles escalate the warning from white to amber and add a chime. Ease off the accelerator before the bridge, not once you are on it. Braking on the deck is what puts cars into the guardrail. Now the last 4, and these are the ones people email me about. Secret number 4. Your stereo has been adjusting itself and you never noticed. If your music swells as you accelerate onto the highway and drops back at a stoplight, that is speed-sensitive volume control. The head unit reads vehicle speed off the same data bus that feeds your speedometer. And on higher trim systems, a cabin microphone samples ambient noise as well. As wind, roar, and tire hum climb, it lifts the output to keep what you actually hear roughly constant, then drops it when you slow, so you're not blasting the guy next to you at a red light. The reason a mechanic cares about a stereo setting is simple. You stop reaching for the volume knob in the middle of a merge. Look in your audio settings for speed volume, SVC, or speed compensated volume, and set it to medium rather than high, because high overshoots in stop-and-go traffic. That one is comfort. This next one is about what you leave in the car. Secret number 3. Your car probably has storage you have never opened. Manufacturers have been quietly hiding compartments for well over a decade, and owners drive around complaining about clutter with that space sitting empty. Lift the rear seat cushion in a lot of sport utilities and pickups, and the whole bench hinges upward, exposing a full-width tray across the floor. Pull the carpet panel in a hatchback cargo area, and there is frequently a sculpted well beside the spare tire. Jeep has been tucking bins into the Grand Cherokee for years. Volkswagen has put them under the front seats of the Golf. Minivans hide deep wells in the floor between the rows. Some of those are sealed and water-resistant, which makes them the right home for jumper cables, a first aid kit, a tire plug kit, and a folded rain shell. They also keep a laptop bag invisible when you are parked at a trailhead. Speaking of what you leave in a parked car, here is number 2. Secret number 2. Your car can lock itself as you walk away. You know that moment 40 feet from the vehicle where you stop, half turn, and mash the fob button one more time just to be certain. A lot of modern cars end that habit for good. The vehicle continuously measures the signal distance to your key fob, and once you cross a set threshold, the doors lock themselves, usually with one flash of the mirror lamps or a soft chirp. Some let you set a delay of 30 seconds for when you double back because your phone is in the cup holder. On most vehicles, this ship's switched off and sits buried under vehicle settings, doors and locks, or convenience. Ask any insurance adjuster how many stolen car reports start with an unlocked door and a rushed grocery run. 10 minutes with the manual on a Saturday turns on a feature you already paid for. And now, number 1, the one I actually made this video for. Secret number 1. There is a glow-in-the-dark handle inside your trunk, and this is the 30 seconds of this video that matters most. Through the 1990s, there was a run of deaths in the United States from people, including children, being trapped inside trunks in summer heat. Federal regulation responded by requiring every new passenger car sold from model year 2002 onward to carry an internal trunk release. It is usually a T-shaped handle or a molded loop in bright yellow, sitting on the underside of the trunk lid or on the latch mechanism itself. The material is photoluminescent, so it drinks in light every time the trunk is open and stays visible for hours in total darkness. One pull opens the lid from the inside. No tools, no strength, and a 6-year-old can do it. So this weekend, open your trunk and put your kids' hands on that handle. Make them pull it once. It takes half a minute, and it is worth more than the other 16 tricks combined. So that is 17. Which ones did you already know? Drop the number in the comments and be honest, because I am curious how many people had any idea about that trunk handle. Everything I showed you today was free. The things I charge people for are not, and most of those bills were avoidable months before anyone walked into my shop. That is why I wrote the Car Savings Manual, linked in the description below. Read it before your next service appointment. And subscribe, because next week I am breaking down the 4 repair quotes shops know almost nobody ever questions.